Hello and welcome to this presentation of MayaStar7 and its features. So this is the intro video, yeah, we're going to take a overall look at what MayaStar7 has different and or improved. Many things have been improved. So yeah, let's get started. So we, as usual, have our MayaStar menu with all of the usual feature, but over here, the very first entry is new because it's the menu 2.0 panel. So now all of the MayaStar features with all of the new ones are contained into a panel. All right, so what's new is the panel itself, but also, which is resizable, you can place it wherever you like, it's scrollable, everything, but the greatest addition is that it is now dockable, and it remembers where it was docked the last time when you reopen Maya next time you start working with it. So this is going to stay here or wherever you want to dock it. Actually, you can dock it anywhere that Maya allows docking. Yeah, that was not docking. Like here, if you liked, or whenever. All right, so I'm placing that there because I find it easier to work with. And let's resize it. And the very first thing that we can see here is rigging related, because MayaStar, of course, is rigging oriented. So all of the tools that you are used to from the menu are now available over here in form of buttons, just much more convenient and easier to use. All right, so the very first thing is this rigging default panel is for the default avatar. So female or male, you can choose it from here, and you can import an original or a bento avatar directly from these two buttons. Then we have new features like the import XML shape. Yes, you can export your own shape from the Second Life viewer or whatever third-party viewer you're using, and import that onto the default avatar or any dev kit that you will be MayaStarizing. Okay. Then we have weights import export, which also has an additional feature to work with models that are already in the animation stage if you're doing that. So the skinning and weighting workflow is a little bit improved, allowing you to do some adjustments while animating, import and re-import the weights to the model that you're going to export from here to import into Second Life. Then we have the resizing section, the grid management that we already had over here, default grid. These ones here are now buttons. And all of the skinning stuff here, most of which are also reworked and improved. Okay, so just as an example, the clean geo is a button that cleans up your geo to be extremely efficient, the most efficient possible. And the smooth bind, for example, is already tailored to deliver to Second Life. So just forget about fiddling with all of the settings here. It's done directly in here, no problem. Copy weights also have been improved. It's no longer, I mean, it's not exactly like the copy weights over there. This also allows you to do the copy weights on multiple objects. And you have mirror tailored for Second Life orientation, so you don't have to fiddle with the settings, and so on. Many more useful tools that you can use. Then we have the edit influences and a new feature for exporting your selection in either FBX or Collada, which also includes the availability of multiple files exports. For example, we've got two objects and we select both of them, export selection. It detects that we have separate objects and it asks you, would you like to export as a multi-file or a single file? Multi-file means that each single object is getting exported into its own file, or single file that exports everything in one single file, all of your selection. So if you're doing like builds with Builder's Mate and you want to keep everything separated, so that you can better control your physics and LODs, you can use this feature over here. Okay, so right now I'm going to cancel this. We're not really going in depth into that, just to show you the availability of that one, but this is only the very first panel. Now we have 5 more panels. The first one was rigging that we just covered. Then we have the shape sliders. Shape sliders have been reworked as well. Now they are, in tabs as we were used to, but we have even more features to it. So let's bring in a bento female just to have some examples running. Okay, so under the shape sliders we have the import XML shape. That's exactly the same as the one in rigging, so just a convenience button that gets repeated here. Then you can go to the default shape, mesh shape. You can go back to the bind pose, and you can apply all of the sliders that you can set here once you go back and forth. But the two greatest additions here are the shape sliders themselves. Like, let's do something like this and say that you are going to close Maya and reopen it at a later time, or that you close the panel and reopen it. That's basically the same thing, right? The shape sliders detect the actual shape of the avatar and set the sliders accordingly, so you're not losing your not in this case maybe, but meticulously made shape, and you will not have them reset to the default and therefore have to change them back. They're going to get what values they need to be and set themselves accordingly. We also have a nice feature here, which is the undo. We know that the Control-Z undo does not really work, right? So we have here our undos. Undos, redo, and if you want to clear the undo queue, you have this button, so it just restarts completely like a clean slate, so just in case. The redo undo, of course, it is not going to survive a Maya restart, but yeah, at least we have a actual undo redo that we were missing before. Okay, so the panel is organized like this. The default shape, mesh shape. Then we also have the go to bind pose and apply all sliders, because the old behavior here has been retained, but if you do that on more than one, like this, and then you want to apply all of them, you just do apply all sliders, and it's going to apply all of the sliders instead of doing each single one by hand. So also the others that appear in the different tabs will be applied with this one. Then we have the animation part. Let's go back to the default shape though. Okay, the animation part here is way more convenient than before. Now there are buttons, which also include the poses. But the newest addition here is to have the ability to add new poses. Okay, so say that we want to have some test poses like this. All right, you do add. You can choose a name, test 1, test 1, and it gets added over there. So if we go back to the T-pose and then double click here, it goes back to that pose. So you can store as many as you want, and you can remove when you don't need it anymore. And the same goes with the human IK poses when you're in the animation stage with MyAnimate. So you can also store poses over here the same exact way and retrieve them by double clicking on the pose name. Then down here we have the animation exporters with MyAnimate, generate animation skeleton, animate exporter, the BVH exporter 1.5 and 1.6, and the builder's mate scene exporter as a convenience thing here if you're doing animated scenes, so you don't have to actually move to the other panel that actually contains builder's mate. All right, now the next one is external DevKits. So MayaStarizing is now being improved with the import Framebox FBX or Collada die that is going to do a lot of things that the regular import does not expose to the user. It's a sort of, say, secret flag that cannot be used from the interface that improves things quite a lot. So when you do the DevKit prepper, most likely and more likely is going to not give you errors when you import DevKits. Then we also have, with these buttons here, support for non-default, so custom joint position avatars. So if you have a custom position avatars before you MayaStarize it, you just do a store joint position for whatever you need and add the setup, and then you can MayaStarize it. The shape sliders will work maintaining the joint positions and still having the ability to work with the shape sliders. All right, down here instead we have a section that is available only excuse me, only when a MayaStar body is in the scene. So right now this is a default avatar, so it's not available here, but we will cover this feature in the next videos. So basically the clothing reshaper actually lets you transfer the clothing from a body to another body pretty much automatically, with only just a little work left to do, if not actually no work left to do. Okay, so reshaping clothing from the MayaStar body to any other dev kit is going to be easier and faster than ever. So then we have the MayaStar body, which is basically from here down the same as the rigging, but we have two more automated features. The automatic bind, which does the automatic binding, the smooth bind that we have seen in the default rigging panel, plus all of the required steps to copy the weights correctly from the dev kit. And then we also have the texture bake manager, which is this one here, which is a whole separate software that can also be docked if you need, that lets you bake alpha masks images in 3 different formats, and it also provides more, so a dummy for that to export for painting, and then when you're done with painting, when you're done with painting on a custom UVs, you can then import the dummy textures and have them transferred to the actual Second Life UV. So you're free to paint and get the actual UV. It is a fully integrated dev kit with no need for matching and a lot of trial and error. You get an avatar to paint on with good UVs, and you're going to get the transfer to the UV layout used in Second Life automatically with this tool. Then we also have a different tool for baking normal maps, AO, and it also does a inverted DirectX type of normal map if you're working with Substance Designer or with Substance Painter, and then you want to bring them back here, and you have everything that is needed for correct baking. Worth of notice is that this does not work only with the MayaStar body. This accepts any object for baking. So you can bake from an object to another, and it doesn't matter whether or not it is a MayaStar body part or your own, I don't know, whatever it is. Okay, you can use this tool to bake normal map, ambient occlusion, and the color map if you like. Okay, and yeah, it also supports the alpha textures for the creation of tattoos. So the MayaStar body is by default tailored to work with bakes on mesh. So this is going to be extremely useful for a lot of you users. Okay, so the next one, which is the last but not least, this gives you a few more tools to work with, which is a set of modeling tools, basically. You can copy vertex normals, so this tool is aimed at creating custom normals that make no seam at the neck if you're making full avatars, or anyway, things that you want to separate into different parts but that should look like they're not separated. You can use copy vertex normals to make the junctions between meshes not display any seam at all under any condition of lighting. Then we have the transfer attribute tools, a set of tools to transfer the vertex positions using UVs. You can transfer UVs from one object to a selection of multiple same objects. You can use this to work on a retopologized piece of clothing from Marvelous Designer, and then you can transfer the retopologized piece of clothing onto the actual piece of clothing on the avatar, and a lot of useful things that help you transfer UVs or use the UVs to get the geometry to wrap around the avatar. Low Poly Bevel, which is a technique from the game industry to get a low poly bevel to look like it's way higher resolution, and I can quickly show you that like on this cube here. Okay, so I'm going to do a bevel. Okay. Okay, let's type in 0.1. All right. And you can see that the bevel here is quite not the thing, right? So with the low poly bevel, if we select faces like this, okay, and do the low poly bevel, as you can see, the shading looks like this is very high resolution, although it's still just a chopped off corner. So this is how usually in AAA games low poly objects are being made to look like they are way rounder than they are actually. Okay, then build a mate that we already know. Update geometry and disconnect there, they go together. This is another great addition. So we can do something like this and like this, and then connect this one as the original to this one here. Okay, keep the connection. And if I make any change to one, the other one is going to reflect that change. Okay, so if you have multiple of these around and you want to make a change to all of them, also in the UVs, you can do that with the update geometry, and then you can disconnect and they're no longer connected. So you make a change, now it is convincing, for example. You can reconnect, and this time you can also not keep the connection, and that's being transferred and not connected anymore. We'll get to this more in depth in future videos. And then the pivot tools, when you realize that your pivot point is oriented in an odd way, and you shouldn't have gotten that orientation and you need a different orientation, then the pivot tools actually help you. And also this one will get its own in-depth video. Last but not least, another fully integrated tool here, the Arnold rendering tools. Again, also this one here is dockable with everything you need for lighting and then finally baking. So the first section is for create a material from images already or without images. You can create it on the selection, or like if you want to create a material for one face only, or you can create it for other things. Then before you export, you can convert it for SL to not flip out because of the Arnold materials, and so keep the same materials order. So phase 1, 2, 3, and 4 will still be the ones that you have set up at the beginning, but with a Lambert material so that Second Life still recognize them without any error. We can create three-point lighting or cube lightings here, so everything related to lighting, like over here, with a rig that you can manipulate like this. You can then further manipulate the distance, everything, and this is by clicking, and by double clicking instead you select directly the light to change things in its attributes. And you can also increase the light samples on all of the lights very comfortably from here. This will be applied to every single light automatically. And then down here we have all of the render settings that you should be changing from here and here, comfortably put in here so that you have full access to this feature, to these features over here, with also the added benefit of switching from CPU to GPU. And if your version of Maya actually supports the switch between CPU and GPU, this will be displayed. If not, this will not be displayed, but all of the other features will be available to you to change the anti-aliasing samples, all of the other samples and everything. And also we have a few presets, so things that you can use to start, right? And then customize to the actual need that you have. Now also these lights, these setups here can also have an additional light that you can rename or just leave as the default. All right, and that will be listed here. Add light, and you can reposition to wherever you like this. Or you can just remove a light if you have it selected here, delete light, and it deletes it, or you can delete the entire light rig. All right, so oops, should have undocked it and closed. So yeah, that's it for the intro. A lot of features to discover and a lot of videos to follow. They will be as short as possible to convey the information that you actually need in each single video. But yeah, this first one has been a little bit longer because the introduction is on a tool that is quite extensive, as you have seen already. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.